Welcome to White Pill Radio, the roughly every other episode version of Theology on Air, which is an outgrowth of Theology by the Pint, which is a monthly gathering in Houston where around craft beer and delicious food, we talk about interesting political, ethical, theological hot topics and concepts. You should check us out by going to theologybythepint.org, theologybythepint.org. Find out about our upcoming events, how you can donate, because this is all ad-free. This is totally dependent on your giving to keep us going. So, a monthly donation or a chipping in from time to time would be great. But definitely come to our events and find out what we're all about. But there's so much to talk about, we can't do it just in live events. We have to do it on this podcast as well. So definitely subscribe to the podcast and on YouTube and like us and notify and check out our clips. We're trying to make more clips and we're trying to make them go viral, as the kids say these days. That's a new word I hear, viral. Anyway, so do check that out. But this is White Pill Radio, which we do, like I said, every other version of this podcast. This is ultimately hopeful, post-apologetic, applied theology, where we look at news and current events from a Christian worldview. I like to say that this is blessed talk, but not happy talk. So let's dive in. I'm Evan McClanahan, the pastor at First Lutheran, and we have the Grand Poobah of Theology by the Pint with us today.
Hey guys, Sarah Stone Ulrich. And by the way, let me add something on to the thing you said about donations, because that's kind of what I have to do. If you give $50 a month or more, you can come to our events for free, which is really nice, because then you just register and boom, you're in. And it's nice and easy. So just consider that. theologybythepint.org/give.
So you only have to give $50 a month, and then you get in for free.
Yeah, I realialize it's not really free because you've given $50, but
no, it's
for a cup of coffee a day.
Nobody's charging you at the door, so it's free.
Yes,
that's what I say.
Indeed.
Yeah,
that's girl math.
That's right, girl math.
It's also corporate
You're
math.
a new guy.
My name is Loren.
Hi.
Hi.
Loren goes to my church, and he got into a little bit of a debate with another guy at our church who has a more progressive stance. And when I heard about this event, this happened at a men's night, I told him he should come on the show. So he's going to join us today, and, we'll see if we scare him off.
I'm here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Good.
And I'm Ken. I'm an accountant.
I'm not telling you jokers where I work. Oh, that's the end. You say that.
I usually say that for the end, but that's okay.
There are two people here who have class rings. Are you guys both Aggies or what?
Both A&M.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Dude, it never fails. Like, the only people who wear class rings are Aggies.
Yep.
Which is, I appreciate that,
We got to let everyone know we're intelligent.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, every Aggie I've ever known is pretty smart. So, okay. Well, speaking of smart or smart,
that's an interesting segue.
Let's jump right into Looksmaxxing. I want to tell you how I got
how you look like this.
Yeah.
Walk us through your day-to-day regimen. Okay. So there was an article recently about this influencer who was recently actually arrested. His influencer name is Clavicular. That's not his real name. His real name is Bruce or Braden. It doesn't matter. But when I heard about this story, the person that I was listening to referred to him being one of the influencers that does a lot with Looksmaxxing, and I had never heard that term before. So I got on Google and I started the deep dive, and it took me to places that I wasn't really prepared for. So, and as I was reading about the Looksmaxxing thing, which I'm going to tell you guys about, it occurred to me it's something we ought to talk about on this podcast. So Looksmaxxing, you guys have all heard of it, sounds like. It's a dude thing.
Mogging.
Mewing. Yes, mewing is part of it.
Well, I think mogging
is the thing.
Yeah.
I think of that as upstaging, though.
But it came from this whole Looksmaxxing. Mogging is where you're taking the something to do with your jaw and just making it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So basically, my understanding is that Looksmaxxing is this practice among mostly men, and mostly men of a certain sort of type on the internet, which we'll get to in a minute, of trying to maximize their looks, which doesn't sound so bad. Women do this all the time, right? People get Botox, and we put on makeup, and we do our hair, and we try to lose weight and all that kind of stuff. But it can go much beyond that. You can do things with your thumb and your palate to try to change the shape of your jaw. And then the thing that really took me to a dark place was part of it is bone smashing, which is exactly what it sounds like, where they will take hammers or their own fists and regularly put microfractures in especially the jaw, but parts of the skull and jaw, so that when it heals back up, it changes the shape, gives you a more carved out shape. These guys often take meth to try to be skinny and get that sort of hollowed cheek kind of thing. And the whole idea of Looksmaxxing, and if you go down this dark path on the web, you will see as well. It starts as this idea that if you are really attractive, you'll get further in life, and non-attractive people don't get as far in life, which I can buy into. I think that is kind of how it works, sadly. But it's not the whole story. And the more I read about this sort of underbelly, it tends to be, I know that we're trying to be PG-13 for our audience, but it tends to be men that are in the sort of seedy underbelly of the online world, often on the far right politically, in the sort of red pill zone, Andrew Tate-y kind of vibe. And am I allowed to say they're men that don't often have the company of women? How about that?
Like incels?
Yes, incels is the word I didn't know if I could say or not.
That would be their audience, right? And before
Yes.
clavicular and mogging and looksmaxxing, there was like you said, the red pill movement and Andrew Tate. And before that, there were pickup artists, right? That would teach you how to do a cold open with a woman. Like this kind of oh gosh, who's the Win Friends and Influence guy? Who's that guy? How to Win Friends and Influence
I know,
people.
but I can't remember now.
Oh gosh, you guys are going to scream at us from the
from your
type in the
room.
chat. Type in the chat. What's his name?
It's a famous book.
Famous guy, and he would go around giving conferences on hey, how you can succeed in the business world.
Right.
Dudes have been telling lonely incels forever, hey, do X, Y, and Z, and you can succeed in the dating
Joel
world.
Osteen does it every week.
Okay, wow.
Oh.
Twist. We'll go there in a second. But this takes a dark turn because and this is why I wanted to bring this up today. I think that the audience for this and the people that are into it, and by the way, I did go to a couple sites where people are actually asking questions about it and whatever, and it is so desperately dark and hopeless and nihilistic. So nihilism is just this kind of hopeless, well, nothing matters and it's all going to burn anyway, so why even try kind of thing. And so they're fixing one part of themselves. They're fixing their external features. But they're sort of descending further and further internally into this hopelessness, which to me is kind of the opposite of the gospel, right? I mean, it's the opposite of what we read in the Bible. There's that famous passage in the Old Testament where, it says what you intended for, that man looks at the outside, but God looks at the heart. And it made me think, what a different world would it be if we were, I'm not going to coin this phrase because it's really cheesy, but soul maxing,
Ooh,
if we were to do
that.
this exact kind of thing, take it to the highest potential that you could go working on your character. Are you a person that when no one's looking does the right thing, that kind of thing? Are you sacrificing for others? Are you a servant? These kinds of things.
Well, I would say that's the difference between moral conservatives and the red pill community.
Yes.
Right? So moral conservatives do advocate soul maxing, and the red pillars advocate looks maxing. I do want to say this though: if bashing your face in made you more handsome, what happened to Mickey Rourke? Okay, he was the most handsome guy in 1989, and now poor guy can't even get an acting job.
You have
anymore.
to do it just right. And if you
Guess so.
if you follow these people, they'll tell you where these certain
Cheekbones and
spots on your head and your jaw are to do. I mean, it's really, it's so crazy. It'll turn your stomach if you start reading.
Well, it is basically what Muay Thai guys do with their shins, right? Creating microfractures in the shin so it grows back thicker and stronger, right? So that the shins don't break.
Muay Thai is what, kickboxing?
Muay Thai is, it's
martial arts
kickboxing.
kind of
Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy's also basically said he's infertile as a result of some of the drugs he's taken and some of the hormones.
He's super roided up. I mean, a lot of them take steroids. They do, intense starvation and then
is it
training
working?
and
He's kind of
he's
handsome.
all right. I'll say that.
I mean,
but
on a scale of 1 to 10?
these guys look the
He's not-
same though. They all have the hollowed out cheekbones, very chiseled jaw.
I think Lauren's better looking.
Aw. I
mean-
think everyone in this room is better looking. I'll
Okay,
include myself in that.
I don't want to go here necessarily, but I do blame women,
Oh, okay.
and I'll tell you why.
Because they're not having sex
Tell
with
us
these
why.
men?
Well, in a way,
Oh, boy.
not really, but there was another story I didn't think to print it off, but basically, the average woman, and maybe this is a result of the Tinder generation or online dating or what have you, but what do they want? They want someone who makes good money. They want someone who's available in their 20s, not already married. That's good. 6 feet tall. That always seems to be some magic number for a lot of women. And, in a 7 or above.
Oh, and by the
out
way,
of
this is
10.
another thing in Looksmaxxing you can do is get taller.
Yeah.
Like
with
in Gattaca.
sauna and stuff. It's crazy. Keep going. Sorry.
Well, anyway, so very few, so as women are looking for these men, okay, very few of them exist. I mean, less than 1% at those criteria.
Whoa. I mean, other than the tall thing, what are you saying? That they want someone available that has a decent job for financial security?
Yeah.
It's not less
When
than
we say
1%.
decent, for them, less than 100,000 is like chump change, you know?
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
you'll
This
see-
is what I'm hearing.
caricaturizing, maybe.
No, I mean, you'll see like they do the man on the street interviews plenty of times, and they'll be like, okay, and they'll do okay, what is your criteria for a man? And then they'll list off their criteria, and then they put it into this thing, an app that says, all right, you've gotten like 2% shot of all of all men in the United States.
I didn't think it was that drastic.
But when they do it with men, you know, their criteria is like, yes, they're too picky as well, but like it's a much bigger percentage of women, you know? So I don't know if the internet has done this. I don't know. You know, I think there's a self-inflation, like people look in the mirror and it's like when our joke, we used to have a Lhasa Apso as like a little furry dog. And the joke about them was that when they look in the mirror, they see a lion, you know? And I think a lot of people live that way. Like they're pretty average, but like they look in the mirror and they see a beauty and then they think the world should treat them like a beauty. When in fact, like they're a 6 and they should go look for a 6. You know, and if they want to be happy, they should get a 5.5.
That's kind of been around forever. It's like, she's a Dallas 7, right? But LA 5.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But like, you know, the internet has just made everyone close now. So now instead of like comparing, you know, a coastal young person hotspot to wherever you are in middle America, now you're comparing yourself to the entire world.
Yeah,
right?
that's interesting.
Yeah, what you were talking about was hypergamy, right? Where, you know, you have women that can take their pick of that 2% of men.
All right.
But then men feel like, okay, well, all of those women are migrating up there. The 2% of men can have as many women as they want, leaving nothing for the 80%.
Well, I know someone, okay, good job, makes, I'm sure, decent money, nice enough looking guy, maybe 5'10", right? He went on one of these apps and I don't want to say too much, but long story short.
He's still looking, ladies. Come to Theology by the Pound.
Everyone who expressed interest in him was either another man.
Yeah.
Okay. Or...
you didn't have his filter set right there.
Yeah, I know.
No, that happens even if you have your filters the right way.
Anyway, it was very few women, so I'll just put it that way. Yeah. And it was like, you know, and so, but he didn't know what was on the other side of the interest until he paid, right?
Yeah.
So it seemed like it was a way to get you to pay for the app. So I'm just saying that, like, I don't know. I mean, he seems like a perfectly good catch to me. So you know, people are complaining. So why do people go to these links?
So I would say that I wouldn't blame it on women, number one, but I would blame it on the current dating scene and how like dating works in the age of online apps, right? Where many women have access to many men that they otherwise wouldn't have access to in a sexual way. Historically, or I guess not historically, from a conservative perspective, feminist revolution, you would normally be dating someone within your local community.
Yeah.
And you would also have a lot less sexual output.
Yes.
By both men and women.
Yeah.
And they would tend to flock towards someone that of their same level of attractiveness.
So Aziz Ansari actually wrote, I know we think of him as a comedian, but he wrote a book, I think it's called Modern Romance, and he talks about this exact thing. Yeah. Like how it's changed.
So now I think with the amount of availability that women have to very attractive men, and very attractive men being willing to entertain less attractive women for a sexual desire, not actually, wanting to, pursue a relationship, but just pure, fleshly desires. That's where the incongruency is coming from, right? They have access to high value men. High value men are willing to give their bodies to those women. And so then everyone below what they find their threshold is
just left.
Yeah, they're just left with
waiting.
Nothing. Yeah.
So, and that cynical mindset is what makes these clavicular types or the Andrew Tate types, right? They have an audience of those, those men that are not seen as high value men, that feel like they can't, meet a girl and they just swoop in and take my course, or take my Looksmaxxing regimen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm 5'7". My wife is 5'10", so I didn't meet her on the apps though. I met her in person, and I wooed her with my stunning charm and personality.
Yes.
That's right. So I would say that there is hope for everyone out there. I would say that getting off the apps and meeting people in real life is a very good way of meeting someone that you'll actually cherish and love.
I'll say one thing, because I did meet my husband on the apps, but there is speaking of this soul maxing, there is a way that you can retrain yourself to not be a swipe left kind of person, which is to actually just pause a little bit. Because the apps kind of train you to be like, no, 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 because it's an unending sea of possibilities, although Dave and I both had the experience where we got to the end where they're like, we have no more matches for your criteria. Think about broadening your,
but ask your husband how many dates he went on before he found you.
100 or more. Yeah.
Oh,
so again,
I know, he counted. Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
He
it
literally.
sounds so expensive.
It is expensive.
I married my high school sweetheart. I know nothing about the dating world.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I mean, the game out there is difficult.
It is difficult.
I mean, so I think that the best way of meeting someone is meeting them in person in your local community where you have common interests.
Yeah.
And
This seems like a great time
go
to
to
say.
church.
Go to church, but also come to Theology by the Pint. We do a red cup, blue cup system where if you get a blue cup, someone else has a blue cup, you can connect with them. And we have, I know because I'm actually talking to them on both sides, men and women that are looking and are a catch. So if you live in the Houston area, or even if you don't, come on down.
And I would say everyone listening to this on the podcast only, you should go to the YouTube channel to see how handsome Loren is. So you can't see that on the podcast.
Evan, you're taken.
Yeah.
I'm taken. Married.
But okay, just to round this out, though, I do think as we think about these things and as we look at all these beautiful people that have done terrible things to themselves to be that way, consider the fact that, their beauty will still fade. And there is something more to this life that God looks at, but that people do in the end look at as well. And so work on your soul. Yes, Hevel.
Ecclesiastes.
Yep.
Well, maybe, I'm kind of surprised, like, women haven't been saying something like, well, finally, we've had to work this hard.
Yeah, really. I'm sure some women are.
And now some of you people, some of you guys, and of course, I think it's vanity, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm not defending it, but I'm like, aren't the feminists out there being like, well, yeah, men should be looksmaxxing for us?
We've been
That
Botoxing for years.
There's something to say, like, for balance, right? Like, yes, you don't have to break your face bones, but like, dude, don't be a slob, right? Clean up
Shower.
after yourself, shower,
Yeah.
go work out, hit the gym, or if you don't have the money for a gym, just pick up something heavy over and over and over again, right? Like,
Yes.
you will develop a better body in your room just doing calisthenics. Like, it's
But this gets to maybe the heart of it is, why are you doing those things? And I mean, I realize this has become sort of a cliche, but it is biblical that your body is a temple for the Lord. I mean, we believe that the Holy Spirit indwells us and that we're put on this earth to do things, to be productive for the Lord in his kingdom. So we want to be healthy, not just because it attracts people, but because it is
think about
telos,
think about every caloric excess that you have now as stealing a year from you and your spouse or you and your kids, like, when you're older, right? And you die of heart disease. So just like, instead of thinking of it selfishly, I want to look the best I am now, think about like the people that you're actually trying to live for.
That's lovely, Ken.
So,
yeah.
Aw,
Yeah.
Ken.
Wow.
You softy. Okay, we want to talk about whether Nancy Mace is hot or not.
well, it's not just men that are into their looks.
Who's going to tee this up?
I'll talk to
Ken,
the part of the article that I wanted to talk about, because in the New York,
In the New York?
it's not the New Yorker, is it?
Oh.
It's New York Magazine.
New York Magazine.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right. Okay. So
New York.
the interns behind or staffers behind Nancy Mace's campaign said, just talked about how awful she is. If y'all remember,
Governor of
Nancy
South
Mace?
Carolina.
yeah, there you
She's
go.
running for governor of South Carolina. She's a pretty prominent, all things considered, congresswoman.
She's
from
in
South
Congress,
Carolina.
though. Yeah. If y'all remember the stories about like Sheila Jackson Lee, for those of you in Houston, and how like her aides and her staffers were saying just how horrible she is and how she would just yell at people. Well, okay, that's not just a Democrat thing. That's a Republican thing too. But as far as the looksmaxxing and the being obsessed with your personal image, apparently she told some of her staffers, like, go make a Reddit account, go flood a Reddit poll for hottest in Congress. And then that leaked.
Pretty
and
low bar. I mean,
What was
it's not
the
a great
point-
book.
What was the point of that? Like, to what end?
To put her higher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that
she
her
was
staffers.
hoping to end up, high.
I don't think she wants her staffers voting for AOC, but yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay.
And did they do it? And who wins?
I'm sure they all did it, but then they leaked to the press and they complained about it and they're like, yeah, she's kind of crazy.
Hey guys, Sarah Stone here. Sorry to interrupt what I'm sure is a riveting podcast episode, but Theology by the Pint needs your help to continue providing these podcasts, offering our in-person events, and growing so we can bring thoughtful conversation and the hope of the gospel to a world that's increasingly walking away from church and from faith. Now that we're a 501c3 nonprofit, all donations are tax deductible. So we've crunched the numbers, and if each listener of this episode gave just $1 for each episode you listen to, we'd put a huge dent in our annual budget. So consider giving today. Go to theologybythepint.org/give and click the link to donate. Thanks so much. And now back to our show.
I didn't check who won the poll.
This is something that, like, Matt Walsh will talk about, because we do have some great viral clips of the sheer stupidity and inanity of our Congress people on a regular basis. And that, these used to be serious people.
Yes.
Highly intelligent people who, high IQ people who could write well, who thought well. And, there's a lot of, bad people, through the years that went to Washington and all of that. But, now, again, I'll steal this from Matt Walsh because I think he's so right, that a lot of these people seem to be far more interested in becoming influencers than actually serving their country. They spend most of their time, if not fundraising, just doing this kind of PR crap. And I would say, like, for example, she had a pretty viral exchange maybe 4 or 5 months ago in like a drugstore where there was a guy, and he was a very liberal guy, and he was asking her about, I don't know, trans issues or whatever. And he was relatively nice about it. It was just like, hey, why don't you support women, trans women in sports or something? And she just like went off on the guy. And then her post about it was, this guy assaulted me and blah, blah, blah. And actually, he was a constituent, and she cursed him out, like literally used 4-letter language at him in public when he was, basically doing what a citizen has a right to do, which is ask your rep a question, And so even a lot of the people on the right were very critical of her because she's a media hound. She's a news junkie. She's making it all about herself. For example, she was the first woman to graduate from the Citadel, which is a military academy in Charleston, South Carolina. Well, okay, you broke the glass ceiling. Yeah. Well, you don't get to complain now, okay, when, certain other people want to break different glass ceilings, kind of lose some credibility. So there's a lot about Nancy Mace I don't like. Some, she used to hate Trump. Now she likes Trump. But the problem, I guess, is that, these people should be public servants, and they seem to want to be influencers, which does tie into the clavicular thing, because in 50 years, so remember the golden age of Hollywood? Yeah. You had celebrities, that was like the pinnacle. Is that what influencers are now? Like, are they bigger, more important than like Hollywood people? Will we look back?
It depends on who you ask, but I think if you ask someone like 18 and under right now, they probably say yes. Like, they wouldn't know who a lot of, they may not know.
Actors are.
Yeah, they may not know some famous actors, but I guarantee you they know who Clavicular is.
Yeah. Well, the population just boomed too, right? Like, Mr. Beast is not going to have like the same percentage of like facial recognition as like Michael Jackson, but like he is known by a lot more people, right? And has a lot more views than like, Michael Jackson's Thriller had. Yeah. But a higher percentage of the population went and saw Thriller in theater. And like, I've never seen a single Mr. Beast video.
I haven't either.
That's because you're so old.
I don't know about that. Mr. Beast videos get, 100 plus million views.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's a third of the population. And if you're going to just go views divided by population, that's, So I actually might
globally though. That. But like globally.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a third of the American population.
Yeah.
But yes.
YouTube,
but no, I think.
But YouTube's not just in America.
But I guarantee you, 100 million people did not see Thriller live.
So what you're saying is that Mr. Beast should run for president?
Oh my gosh.
No, Stephen A. Smith.
No.
Well, I do think we have entered an era where certainly the personality is trumping, no pun intended, the policy. Where it's virtually incumbent upon you to either be privately wealthy or be some kind of, for whatever reason, massive, be able to get donations, right? Fundraising.
Well, let's be honest. Why did JFK win?
Well, because he stole Cook County,
because
he was young and debonair and he looked good on TV.
Yeah, and his opponent didn't want to wear makeup because he thought it made it. And then what happened? The lights came on and he looked washed out. Yeah.
And they stole Cook County.
Okay, yeah.
they did steal that election, and I'm actually kind of a JFK fan.
He had mafia connections, though.
Well, yeah. It's a playbook that's long in the making, which is they let all the rubes out in the countryside say what the election results are, and all the people running the cities who are mafia types are like, okay, now we know how many votes we have to generate from the graveyard and whatnot.
but popularity looks contest. It's
It
not,
does.
It's not new.
It was close,
it's not new.
It was close enough. Well, if you look at the percentage of people who were under 18 in America, it was like a third of the country was like under 18 in 1960. It was an extremely young, optimistic country. And Nixon, although he was a genius, by the way, he was a brilliant politician in many respects, and he was totally framed for Watergate.
Most electoral votes in history, I believe.
Yeah, like 49 states. I mean, biggest wipeout of all time in 1972. And then Watergate, right? But anyway, but you know, he looked stodgy, right? And he sounded stodgy, and he looked kind of, I mean, he was vice president. You know, he was Eisenhower's vice president, so he'd kind of been around a long time. By the way, you want to talk about a guy who changed his looks? Check out JFK in the 50s when he won for Congress. He's almost not recognizable because he was so sick. He was about 30 pounds lighter, and he looks like a different person. You know, he had Addison's disease, and anyway, I'll stop.
I want to just real quick go back before we go to the next one. This influencer idea is interesting because to be an influencer, you don't necessarily have to be smart or have a good character. You have to have mic drop moments. So you think about people like, you know, I don't know, Jasmine Crockett, or like people that will just say something fiery and often wrong. But they have a mic and they'll say it with sass, and it gets a bunch of follows. But there's nothing, and I'm just picking that one name. I'm sure there's people on the right and the left, like we just talked about, that are like this. That's really sad to me because it's not like we're picking these people to be influencers because we want them to actually influence the way we think. We just want to be entertained.
Yeah.
It's not influence. It's like
Go watch
something to get your popcorn and be like, ooh, this is going to be good.
Go watch the 2016 debates. Trump didn't know a thing, right, compared to all of the other candidates, right?
We'll agree to disagree on that.
Okay.
I would say that I think it's primarily the age of quote-unquote authenticity. Not true authenticity, but the act of authenticity.
Okay.
Right? The perception of authenticity is what is attractive to those fiery moments.
Yes.
And they look like they don't give an F about anything.
Yeah.
I think that's where that attractiveness comes from. It's the perception of authenticity. It's that they believe that people believe them. And
interesting.
I don't agree with that perception, but I think that it is a profitable perception oftentimes.
Yeah. Well, hence like code switching.
Yeah.
Right? So you speak
absolutely.
you speak with a different affect to certain audiences and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, look at AOC going to 40 different places and having 40 different accents.
Look at her in Munich, you know, and she speaks like she looks like when she could speak, when she wasn't totally baffled in silence. When she did speak, you know, she was when she said like Maduro, you know, she said it like It's like, okay, whatever.
Well,
That being said, she does speak Spanish.
She's Cortez. I mean, she is, And it actually bothers me when other people don't try to say it the right way.
Really?
Including Matt Walsh, when he talked about vaqueros. I'm like, just say vaquero. You know what the word is.
No,
you two disagree on that.
He does that intentionally.
Okay, well, I don't like it.
He's
But that's
a proud American.
Yeah,
we
he
speak
probably
American
said Kamala the wrong
we
way,
say
too.
Iran. We don't say Iran.
Yeah.
Okay.
Iran.
Anyway, we've derailed. Evan, talk to us about why you're breaking up with Ken.
Yeah.
No, I'm not breaking up. But the article I wrote, it's at everymancommentary.substack.com. And it's called Leaving Libertarianism Behind. And speaking of Matt Walsh, it was sort of inspired by the fact that one day I heard him doing an ad read for an online gambling app. And I thought, well, that's weird. He's a very devout Catholic. I mean, you know, sure, they play bingo and whatnot, but like... Like, don't we all kind of intuitive as moral conservatives that gambling is bad? We're not pro gambling, but you know, a lot of us come out of a libertarian streak in our younger years, and we kind of have an open mind towards, you know, gambling, smoking pot, pornography, things like that. And so
you don't encroach on me, kind of.
Exactly. So a couple weeks later, he apparently had heard from a lot of his audience. He did some research, and he's like, yeah, actually, this online gambling thing is a real problem. A lot of young men are going into debt over it. It's become addictive.
Good for him.
And so I'm never doing an ad read for that company ever again, or any other gambling company ever again. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And he gives as an example as well, you know, that I used to be pro pot for all the same reasons, changed my mind about that. And so to me, there's an inevitability towards a handful of issues that, say, a conservative / libertarian can hold, that to me, it's a mark of Christian maturity that you will stop supporting because they're not compatible with Christianity anymore. So drug legalization is not compatible with Christianity. Executing people for possessing drugs is. You know, Gambling is not compatible with Christianity. You should not be endorsed at a state level, and so on. Now there are some other more difficult topics. Like we debated one on Monday, which will come out next week, I think, which is on like trade policies. There's kind of like libertarian economic policies. Free trade, you might say. Basically, let the world open up the world, and whoever can make the product the cheapest, that's probably the best thing because the consumer sort of wins in that. I'm not trying to simplify the view. Whereas fair trade might be more protectionist policies, tariff policies. So one is more libertarian, one is not. Not necessarily talking about that, although that's a major change in the conservative movement as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Republicans used to be libertarian economic, and Trump is not. So that's an interesting change. Anyway, I would say though that on certain moral issues, there are a handful of issues that I basically would just say that as a Christian, you cannot be libertarian.
Like abortion.
Abortion, for sure, would be.
Legalization of prostitution. Would that be another one?
Absolutely.
So what are the three? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay.
What am I up against here?
Well, so I mean, this is actually interesting. You saying that moral conservatism is incompatible with gambling. I'd like to stick with gambling here for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So you believe that any amount of gambling is morally incompatible with conservatism or the Christian lifestyle? Is that
any amount? Like if I played poker at my house and we played with pennies.
No,
and
like
nickels?
I go to Vegas and I sit at a blackjack table for a few
I think
hours.
I'd say that's incompatible.
Why? Make a case.
No,
Well, gambling is a no-win. It's a closed loop.
Sure.
So whereas like actual economic activity prospers both people, right? That's not what gambling is.
No, yeah,
right?
I agree.
The only way you win at gambling is by taking your money from somebody else who lost that money at that casino. And in a way, the casino is just a third party. But I mean, speaking from some experience, I mean, my hometown, Shreveport, Louisiana, embraced gambling when I was a kid. And they have 5 or 6 riverboat casinos. Let me tell you, they could float away at any moment. The law is so stupid about that in Louisiana. Anyway, but it brings crime, it brings pornographic activity, it brings a seedy underclass, and it doesn't bring good jobs. So that's a lie. It brings a lot of menial jobs, doesn't build neighborhoods, doesn't build families. Whereas I think manufacturing, would be much better. And the only way it wins is by taking money from people. So,
but I would say that that's an argument from prudence, not from morality, right? I think that you're arguing against the
prudence is one of the virtues.
Of course, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
that's morality.
okay. I guess what I'm trying to say is that you're arguing against the effects of gambling, right? You're
That's
saying
okay. Yeah.
like you're saying, hey, it brings along all these other issues.
No, I think it's bad on its face. I think it's bad to participate. Let me put it this way. Let me ask it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that God cares how we spend our dollars?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, if a dollar could be spent in a productive capacity or spent on gambling, is one better than the other?
Well, then why would we hold on to any of our money, right? We should be giving it
We
all
should
to,
talk about this at an upcoming event.
be
by the
giving
way.
Gambling
it
would
all-
be a great
We should
one,
be
yeah.
giving it all away to charity, right? We shouldn't use...
No. I said productive versus gambling.
Right, but I mean, I guess...
Productive is good. That's not giving it away. That's producing a product that someone benefits. I mean, somebody invented, I don't know, the Roomba.
Yeah.
Well,
But me and my friends who play Ultimate Frisbee, right? That's not a productive activity,
Right.
right? We're
Yeah,
not
it is.
producing it. Oh,
You're
no,
producing
but
community.
economically productive. We're not
Recreation.
producing.
Well, not everything is economic.
But that's what
The
that was your
hypothetical
criticism
was
of.
about economic, what you do with a dollar. Now, if you want to talk about the value of having a park,
Well,
Okay.
wait. Time is money, right? I mean, whatever I'm doing with my time could earn dollars, right?
I think recreation is important.
Okay, and
That's a value.
I do not gamble, right? I do not drink.
Yeah.
But I would want to ask, where do you draw the line between everything I like must be mandatory and everything I don't like must be prohibited, right? We had prohibition for...
Am I talking about am I arguing for my preferences?
No, I think what he's trying to say is that there are people that can be temperate with their gambling and enjoy it as a leisure activity with the recognition that, yes, I'm going to be spending money by doing this. I fully intend on losing money by doing this, but it's fun. I do it as a little activity that's enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and Ultimate Frisbee?
Maybe
Well,
the taking from others.
yeah, ultimately, you will, that loss of money enables someone else to win it. Like I said, it's a closed system. It's not a virtuous system. It produces nothing. And I just don't think it's a wholesome form of entertainment.
What about an expensive hobby like horseback riding, right?
That's
You know,
an interesting twist.
Well, I mean,
You know what I mean?
these are ultimately we could debate what about going to the movie?
Right.
You know, is that justifiable? So
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is that I think that what matters is temperance, right? I think that when you're engaging in things that can be vices,
yeah. So that's why
temperance is. I think that temperance is what is called for, right?
Yeah.
I think that having a glass of wine at dinner, that is completely fine, right? I think that a lot of people enjoy and find camaraderie by drinking and imbibing, right?
Yeah.
But it's when you're not temperate with that activity, that's where you fall into vice. That's where you fall into sin. I think again, it's neutral probably, in my opinion, what gambling is or can be. It can be very easy for it to become a vice, for it to become sinful, but that's because of lack of temperance. That's not because of the actual activity in and of itself.
Let me throw a monkey wrench in this. If going with what you just said and the metaphor of drinking, if I went into an AA meeting and started showing temperance in the way I was drinking around them, would it be different?
Yes,
because I think
you're
when you
putting
go to a
yeah, because
casino-
you're putting a stumbling block in
Right.
front. Yeah.
So if you go to a casino that's full of, let's make up some statistics and say that 80% of the people there don't have the money to just do it with temperance, as you say, and they are throwing money away that could be spent on their family, and you know, they're addicted and all these kind of things, and you're going and playing and you're ostensibly taking some of their money away and your winnings.
I think the difference would be that I'm not going to a Gambling's Anonymous meeting and trying to gamble.
I'm saying that is Gambling's Anonymous when you go to Vegas.
No, they're going to like
It's not anonymous. But,
alcohol AA meetings, right, are for people that are trying to abstain from drinking. Casinos are for people that are trying to engage in
but they
gambling.
should. What I'm saying is they should be trying to abstain from it. I think the people like you are very few, and I'm not saying you gamble. I don't know if you like to gamble or not, but
It's fun. I enjoy it.
But I think most people are not that, and so I think the same thing that tells you not to drink among people that struggle with it would say don't gamble among people that struggle with it. So if you want to host a poker game at your house and play for fun, that's different than going to Vegas, right? And playing among people that most of them do have a problem.
So where's the line between pennies and fun, right? Because what you're saying is you can throw some 20s, maybe even 100 in there, and that's still fun.
Well, let me just say the state of Texas outlaws gambling.
Really?
Yeah.
But we have
Yes.
okay.
We
What
have the
about buying
lottery.
I know you
Yes.
said
Oh.
Yeah.
gambling shouldn't be endorsed at a state level. I'm like, well, will you come with libertarians just as far as saying maybe it shouldn't be funded at a state level, right? The
Yeah.
lottery is horrible.
Yeah, but we don't have casinos in Texas,
Right.
You know, you know, that's why people go to Oklahoma and Louisiana to gamble.
Funny.
I lost my train of thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
By the way, I
did
know
wanna
this is a
mention-
rabbit trail, but I think it's a good one because I think like our listeners are curious about this kind of thing.
I do think I was going to say my point in the article really is more that this is a path of maturation that I think a Christian should embark on. I'm not necessarily arguing at this point for making all of these things illegal. But I mean, you know, what about this person who says, "Well, I look at, you know, I only do 20 minutes of pornography a day."
Well, again, so then I think we go with what is good for society, right? I would
Is
be
gambling good for society?
and
Well,
that's
let me
where
finish.
I would say you have a valid argument from you saying that, hey, with gambling, with casinos comes all these other illicit activities that are bad for society. That's why we should outlaw gambling. I think that's a very reasonable argument to have. I think that that's something I could get on board on. And I mean, there is no gambling in the state of Texas, probably for those types of reasons, right?
Mhm.
But again, it's, you know, what is good for society, right? Pornography is proven to not be good for men's health or societal health, right? Same with gambling, right? I mean, there are plenty of instances where gambling is not good for the society that it
So you're
comes
saying it's more of a
into, right?
utilitarian wisdom
Yeah,
thing.
I think what you're saying is a utilitarian argument. And I don't think that you are compelled to grow into believing that gambling is bad to be a Christian. I think to exclude, you know, Christians outside of people hey, by the time I'm 50, I need to stop gambling or else I can't be a Christian. I think that that's kind of a specious argument, you know?
Yeah, fair.
Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about other things that have no redemptive value, right? Or health value. There's no health value to whatever's going to be in that pint glass at our next event, right?
False.
There's no health value to
There's
alcohol
definitely
at all.
There's
No, he's
definitely
right.
societal value.
Societal value, which is
I just read a thing the other day that where somebody did like they lived like the monks did during Lent, where they did a beer fast during Lent and they lost like 25 pounds. There's a lot of nutrients
There's
in beer.
a lot of things you can do.
I want to look at.
Are
I would love to look at their liver.
Hey, they call this liquid beer for a reason, okay? This is water, but in theory, if there was beer, liquid
Courage.
liquid
How
bread.
much beer have you
Bread.
had?
Liquid
No,
bread.
Liquid bread. Yes.
I did
It's
have
canned
a stout
sandwich.
at
That's what
lunch.
it is.
All
It's
right,
a canned
that's
sandwich.
Abortion was another thing you mentioned in your opening.
Yeah.
Like, who are the three like libertarian congressmen? Right? It's freaking Rand Paul, Ron Paul, Thomas Massey
All the
now,
Pauls.
all very pro-life.
Yeah.
The only libertarian we've ever had to actually be a libertarian, Justin Amash, like very pro-life.
Yeah.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I think it's pretty
it's-
obvious that being
it-
pro-life
I'm
does
not saying
go
that-
against being libertarian.
I'm not saying that the Libertarian Party is not cut right down the middle with their pro-life, pro-choice stance. I am saying that there is a ton of libertarians that are very, very pro-life.
Mhm.
And I just don't think we should run away from fellowshipping with them.
Well,
Okay, so it
that's-
says that in
yeah.
the article, and Ken felt sad.
I know.
He thought Evan was saying he didn't want to
You
fellowship with him
should
anymore.
cause conservatives to run away from any libertarian fellowship. I feel hurt, Evan.
Well,
Aw.
I mean,
I
Paul,
will-
Paul
I
did
will-
say there are ways in which we break fellowship.
I will agree with you though that libertarianism is oftentimes fence sitting. It's trying to take the utopian vision and saying we can have that. I obviously agree that there is plenty of problems with the libertarian vision. I am a moral conservative. I am a conservative, politically, socially,
Theologically.
theologically.
Other than your gambling.
Apparently, I guess.
Guys, pray for
I guess
Loren.
now I'm not a Christian. I'm not a
He
conservative.
never
'cause I
said it would
gamble.
make you not a Christian. He
Well,
didn't-
but when I mature,
but it's a
Well, let me-
by the
let
time
me-
I mature, I guess
Yeah.
I'm not
You're
matured
young,
yet.
you know?
I haven't worn the libertarian hat in a long time, but let me defend them. I don't think they're utopian, right? I just think they ask themselves, can this problem be solved with more government or less government, right? Will the government action make things better or make things worse?
Well, what about different government?
I think it's no matter what, you're going to have a governing authority. And right now it can be the corporate world, right? Or it can be the literal government. But there will always be a boss. So who do you want your boss to be?
And I think the lottery example that we just had, yes, it's illegal to gamble, but unless the state does it, right? And I think that that's like the libertarians. Libertarians are hypocrisy hound dogs, right? They will constantly say, like, you are not living up to your values that you're stating.
Okay,
Right.
okay. But
Sure.
Ken, they use the money from the lottery on education.
Oh my gosh.
yeah. Which is ironic because it's a tax on stupid people.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
they need more education.
it is literally a tax on the poor. I mean, I think
Yes.
that's fair to say. But let me try to just end this by maybe saying, I mean, my understanding of libertarianism is that kind of liberty is the ultimate good. It's right there in the name.
Mhm.
And for moral conservatism, it's just not. You know, I mean,
I agree
virtue
with
is
you,
virtue
yes.
is the ultimate good, and you need liberty you need liberty to pursue
enact the
virtue.
moral good. Yes.
Yeah. And so, I'm not against liberty. I want it, but I think there are guardrails, and I think that Matt Walsh is an example, again, as the jumping off point, is a guy who's seeing Tim Pool would be another guy, although he's much further behind because he gambles like a mo. But
Do you think it was audience capture with Matt Walsh? Do you think had his audience not turned on him for this?
I don't
think
know.
that's pretty obvious, yes.
Well,
I think so too, but I'm asking Evan.
he
Yeah.
definitely.
Normally I don't agree with you, but I guess.
Well, maybe, but I'll tell you what he said. He said I heard from a lot of people about this, and I did my own research. And then he kind of did chapter or verse of like this many young people are going into debt, and he kind of cited some news articles about guys that are like $100,000 in debt from stupid, betting, sports betting, and it is addictive, just like taking heroin is addictive, and so. Rightly or wrongly, I mean, if he was shamed into this, that's okay. I mean, as a conservative, shame is like a powerful tool in the
Completely agree.
toolbox.
Yes.
What are we even arguing about here, Lauren? No, I'm just kidding.
I think what we are arguing on.
Let's put some
is
money on
that, right. Yeah. Is that if you can engage in temperance, right, then I think that gambling in and of itself, the
Fair.
act of gambling, is probably Christian and theologically neutral. That's what I would say.
Okay, sorry to keep going, but what about something like payday loans?
Payday loans are predatory loans.
Well, see, why isn't gambling predatory? The house always wins.
It is predatory. But again, these are all utilitarian arguments.
The house doesn't win at poker night.
No, I'm in the casino.
in a casino. I know.
On the whole,
these are utilitarian arguments. These are things. Yes, I agree. Gambling probably not good for society.
Okay.
Payday loans not good for society. Agree with you. Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Very fair. Right. But again, it's not that.
It's not a moral Christian maturity thing.
Right. Yes.
Well, I just wonder what happens when they're illegal, right? We talked about the mafia and JFK. A lot of that money came from casino money, right? We talked about alcohol, and like a lot of the money came from when it was illegal, right? Because you're creating a black market where only criminals engage in. I've told this story before, but like up in New England, there was this innocent old lady that was selling raw milk, right? Like big, like cold, the cartons, the canisters of raw milk, right?
Yeah.
That you use to keep them cold. Somebody just walks up, grabs them, walks away. And she's like, I need to call the cops. And her fellow farmer's market person's like, that's like illegal. You can't sell raw milk. And she's like, oh, now I understand the war on drugs. The black market is a market that like only criminals can actually succeed in. So, yeah.
So you're against gun safety laws then?
Gun safety laws?
Guns or any laws that restrict guns?
Dude,
You'd be
I'm
against that, right?
Dude, I'm against like gun laws for felons, right? Yeah,
Okay.
no. If
All
you've
right.
paid your debt to society, right? Why should we take your gun away
Okay.
and also take your job prospects away? Tell you to live in the worst neighborhoods with no means of protection for yourself. If you've paid your debt to society, gun laws restricting gun rights for felons, that's a violation of the Second Amendment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
We're all friends here.
Ken has
So cute.
Ken has the Gonzalez cannon at his house, actually.
Come and take it.
Yeah.
Come and take it.
No, check out. No, I'll tell you after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're ever going to get to these other...
Okay, I'll
yeah.
go fast. This
Okay.
is an article is about a train attendant in Germany that was killed. I'll just read this is from Pascal Success Wagner Twitter follow. It was pointed out to me by someone else. Train attendant Serkan C. was beaten to death because he checked whether a train passenger had a valid ticket. As a reaction, Deutsche Bahn changed the rules effective March 1st. People who, quote, might escalate, end quote, may no longer be asked for proof of identity. In the case of potentially escalating individuals, the ticket is therefore no longer checked for validity. If you look harmless, you will continue to be checked and recorded as a fare evader. And apparently nobody notices that the principle, we only check your ticket if we're not afraid of you, otherwise it's fine and just ride without paying, is completely the wrong way to go. This principle has existed in retail for quite some time. And he goes on to give other examples. And so basically, to summarize, this is anarcho-tyranny. Okay, so basically, people that willfully and scarily, they look scary, violate the rules of society that you, for example, have to pay a train fare, you let them go.
You get a
so
pass.
literally the most dangerous people are not bothered. So to make up for that, you bother the people who abide by the law. And so you end up with a system writ large where law abiders are punished and lawbreakers are not, which is the exact opposite of what it should be.
Right.
It should be that if you don't pay the ticket, you're literally thrown off the train into the middle of nowhere, right? That's the just punishment for that. But especially
Maybe
when you,
something in the middle, but yeah.
especially when you have a high trust society, though, where they let you get on the train, right, and show your ticket later, right? I mean, that's if you've been to Europe. I mean, and even
how
I
it
guess
works,
here, you get on, you show your ticket later. So to violate that trust, there absolutely should be
Consequences.
a serious consequence, and to basically, I get that it's for the protection of the ticket fare taker, right? But to basically say we're not going to ask anymore is like insane.
It's ridiculous.
I completely agree.
And it's the weakness of the West. It's where we're going. The criminals. I mean, when we say the lunatics are running the asylum, this is what that means.
Well, in the second screenshot or whatever, it starts talking about, if I remember correctly, like shoplifters and stuff.
Yeah.
And this happens here in America. There are certain cities where the people are told if someone's shoplifting, especially if they look agitated, just let them go. Which I understand you don't want your like regular workers at Walgreens to be like engaging someone that might have a weapon, but to just let it go and not involve law enforcement that's crazy. And then it comes to hurt us, not just because things are shoplifted and it's dangerous, but because the price then the margin that's built in is now we're paying like $6 for
Well, now my
deodorant.
deodorant's behind glass.
Like,
dang it.
Yeah. Also, the stores ultimately just closed down.
Yeah.
You know, I went to San Francisco, I think in 2023, and I was near Union Square. There was a Target there, and right in front of it, there were people, and taking heroin right in the street. And then you walk in, and then you have what looks to be a multitude of homeless people with shopping carts just doing their normal shopping as if they're going to, they are planning on stealing these things, but they feel so comfortable in doing so that they get out a shopping cart and do their regular shopping as if
just emboldened.
Yeah, because they just feel that they know they won't be questioned or stopped.
They should go to New York for the free grocery stores that Mom Donnie is going to give them.
I want to look at anarcho-tyranny from the perspective of the cops, right? Because back in the fiery but mostly peaceful protests of
Summer of
Love, the BLM riots. One of the most frustrating things, because I've been a libertarian for a while and then became an anarchist. I have no love for the average cop. But one of the most frustrating things that we would see is they would be so fierce with the peaceful protesters, right? 2 blocks away, there'd be a Target on fire that's being looted, and they wouldn't do a thing about it. It is this anarcho-tyranny. Cops love soft targets.
That happens
right?
in all the blue cities, by the way.
But what I'm saying is they're not going to, the thing that's actually illegal, going and burning down a Target and looting, nobody does a thing. But they're corralling and pushing back people.
Why weren't they doing it? Were they not doing it out of fear?
Well, I think it's yeah. Cops love soft targets, right?
They can say they're doing their job without having to deal with dangerous people.
Right. And it's that kind of is your job, right? We saw the Texas. I hate to bring up the school shooting, but we saw the cops hang out outside in fear.
Moms were going in and
right.
Yeah. And,
Anarcho freaking tyranny. It drives libertarians and anarchists crazy.
Well,
it should drive everyone crazy.
The opposite of it is like the broken windows theory of justice, right? So kind of made famous by Rudy Giuliani when he was mayor of New York, but it was a theory long established before him. But the basic theory is that you go after small crime, because that criminal will become emboldened and more brazen in his crime. He'll ratchet up in the crime world. And so, but you go after the broken window first. We absolutely will not tolerate vandalism. We are going to put a stop to vandalism. And then you have, what you end up with is a lot more peace. This is the exact opposite of that, which is what we're going to look the other way on sidewalk defecation. We're going to look the other way on heroin usage in front of Union Square. We're going to look the other way on theft. We're going to look the other way on this. I mean, it's now to the point, that story that came out a week or two ago where the judge gives this this young black guy, the jury said 65 years in jail.
The guy himself was I'm going to keep committing crimes.
Yeah,
basically.
I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. Yeah, and it was just a horrible crime for which he should have gotten the death penalty. She reduced it by half because he, grew up as a black man in a white world, and he was essentially a victim therefore, right? So even now at the highest level, we're so far from the broken windows theory of justice, where it's basically no justice at all, because basically I guess we can rehabilitate criminals or something. I think we need to debate the death penalty soon.
We are going to. Couple things. One, I want to hear if anybody has a white pill to this, because we all agree this is ridiculous. But where's the hope? Is this just we should be electing better lawmakers kind of thing? Should you be moving to a red city? What's the hope there? But while you're thinking of your white pill, I will say a couple things that have come up tonight. We are doing events on. We are doing an event in May. No. Yes, May, on how rich is too rich and what you should do with your money. Should you give it all away? That kind of thing. And then Evan and I are starting a kind of a online debate series. And the first one is going to be about the death penalty. That's going to be coming out in March. So look forward to those things.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the Christians' take on this?
I think that we need a reorienting in our society to be more sympathetic towards victims than criminals, which is the broken windows theory of justice, which also is biblical, for sure. So where does that begin? By electing people? It first begins in our hearts. I think we have to come to terms with the fact that that the law-abiding, tax-paying citizen has certain privileges and rights. I'm sorry, they just do. And when someone acts in a way outside and they violate the social contract, which is very fragile. I mean, when what did I say about, when you get on the train, high trust society, it doesn't take many people to violate where you lose. You go from a high trust to a low trust society, and it only takes a few instances like this. So I think that we just need to get a lot tougher. Maybe that's not a white pill, but it's reality. So,
I think that this topic actually kind of comes back full circle to the vanity topic earlier, right? We need to elect leaders that are not enthralled in their own vanity. We need to elect leaders that are worrying about the common man, that are worrying about real social justice, not social justice and how we call it, and the
Just
modern,
justice.
Yeah, literal justice, right?
Yeah.
I think that that's what the white pill is, right? Like, we need to be more involved in our daily lives. And by being involved, that means we need to be engaged in our local communities, worrying about who is running our local communities. We need to be involved and engaged in worrying about who are these judges that are letting people off, and how are they getting into those positions of power?
Yeah.
We should be focused on that. And, we can be focused on the federal level. We can be focused on every type of level, but the first level we should be focused on more than anything else is what is affecting my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where a lot of people lose sight, and they get focused on the vanity and the quote unquote
the entertainment part of it all.
Yeah. And I think that that's where we need our focus. I think that if you are involved in your local community, you can actually make a difference, and you can actually probably make a much more substantial difference in your local community than you can at any other level.
Yeah. We've got a vote coming up here. Go vote.
Yeah,
Go to church.
Our early voting started in Harris County.
Yep.
So
that's right.
Yeah, look at who the judges are, and because the judges, of course, that word is used kind of loosely. Like, we have a Harris County judge who's not like a judge, but you get the idea. Yeah.
And if you go to the right spot, you might even have an election clerk that you know. My son will be there.
That's
You'll
right.
Be there.
That's right.
That's incredible.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just maybe we can quickly go through a couple more of these. This one was just a quick Instagram. It should have been main headlines everywhere, but it wasn't. We've heard about so many terrible things coming out of Minneapolis with all of the protests against ICE and the violence both ways. No matter how you want to think about that, Minneapolis is not good right now. But Border Czar Tom Homan reveals ICE located 3,364 missing migrant children in Minnesota. This is really good news. I mean, I don't need a white pill this. This is the white pill. It says, in what should be front page new on every outlet, Tom Homan announced in a press conference today, 3,364 children were located in Minnesota in a nationwide push by the Trump administration to find unaccompanied minors who entered the U.S. during the Biden administration. Those minors were often released to sponsors but lost contact afterwards. And we know there's all kinds of shady stuff going on with human trafficking and people saying that your parents, your sponsors, and they're not. This is a win. This is amazing. I mean, the biblical idea of caring for those that are on the margins, the widows, the orphans, children, that's what's happening here. So there's a lot of bad stuff happening in Minneapolis, but I thought that was lovely to hear that there's something good. There's a rescue happening in Minnesota. So that's it.
Yeah, 3,000 down, 297,000 to go.
I know.
They found a lot more than that, but yeah.
But are you saying they're going to deport these kids, and where to? If they are unidentified missing, first of all, how do they identify that they're unidentified? Second of all, where are they going to go? You're saying deport them, but
I didn't say deport them.
You said 200.
No, I said.
Oh, the missing kids. I thought
there's
you meant,
there's more.
I thought you meant deport all the immigrants, right? We got the kids out now. We're going to get all them out.
No. There's a lot more missing children.
All the immigrants.
Illegal
immigrants.
I've heard the number of 300,000 missing kids. I'm just rounding down, rounding up or something. So
no, I thought you were saying all the immigrants. My bad.
But maybe, but in many cases, a lot of these children were sent by their parents through through mules, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sent.
And a lot of them were sex trafficked as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know what the parents were thinking or doing. I don't know if there was just. I don't know if they hoped that once they got in America, they could go work at a Tyson pig factory and make $5 an hour, and I don't know. Although that did happen a lot. A lot of kids ended up in that kind of work.
What did Moses' mom do? It was like, hey, your life is not going to be good here, right? I'm going to send you up the river in the basket.
Life not going to be good, or more like
you're gonna die.
Dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's not a good life. I'll say that.
That's what I mean, right?
That's not
always looking around your shoulder for.
I think we do take in asylum seekers. That would be one thing that would qualify for asylum if you're politically attacked.
Would a narco state be a reason for asylum? That's the whole CBP1 problem that we've been having, right?
Yeah.
Is that we don't believe asylum claims anymore, right? And that's a
because
different
it's the boy
debate.
that cried asylum kind of situation.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different debate.
Yeah.
But surely we do believe that when you have a totally open border in this way, when you invite the world, invade the world, invite the world. That's the neoliberal pact that was made. Once you do that, you understandably, you're going to become a reasonable, destination for all kinds of people in all kinds of desperate situations. And so children are going to be victimized in that scenario, and they have been by the thousands. And the fact that, I'm sorry, but it's the left that never says anything about it. There's only one side in this debate that is willing to put strictures around immigration to protect children, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Because if the other administration did it, I never heard of it. So this is great news. I'm glad you found that and highlighted that.
Absolutely.
Well, I had one last article, and it's a huge article. It's really just a Twitter link, but it's from John
Do you
Harris.
mean X?
X, thank you.
I dead name it still.
Dead name.
So he's quoting from Amazing Maps, which I should have printed in color. But the bottom line is that Oklahoma, Missouri, Louisiana, all the way over to like West Virginia and North Carolina, that group of people have a 70 to 82% certainty that God exists. He's quoting from Amazing Maps, the Twitter follower Amazing Maps. And if you look at something like Europe, that same question, are you certain that God exists? The answer is somewhere between 10 and 30%. And so, the rest of America is pretty much like 50 to 69%, except for Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont, which is like 30 to 49%. What is the point? Well, one of the things that, on this post-apologetic show called White Pill Radio, that I will talk about is, the problem with a lot of Christian apologetics is that it only deals in probabilities. So basically, is it probable that God exists? Well, look at all the evidence. Like what else? Could
51% to 49%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's a much higher probability than that Jesus rose from the dead. Even like Gary Habermas's,
minimal facts
argument is a study of probabilities, and you're going to end up with overlapping probabilities, which makes it like 99%. But I feel like certainty is what moves the world. Probabilities not so much. And so the argument is, because what John Harris says is, the American South is not just the bulwark of the United States, it's the bulwark of Western civilization. So if Western civilization fundamentally depends on a belief in God, on certainty that God exists, and that the rightness of everything that outflows from that is from that certainty, then certainty it's demanded. And if you look at what's going on in Europe, where they have low certainty that God exists, well, it seems like everything there is pretty much negotiable at this point. There's no national sovereignty. There's no right to free speech. It's kind of a mess. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I think certainty is important. I think that Christians should be loud and proud about the fact that we are certain that God exists, that we should be careful about speaking about it in terms of probability or using probabilistic arguments. Presuppositionalism is a certain argument. It's a certain way of it's an argument that produces certainty about the existence of God because it's the impossibility of the contrary. So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting, data point.
And there's a way to talk about certainty that's still charitable and warm and convivial with whoever you're talking about. Because I think the probability stuff, which, I'm not mad about evidentiary apologetics, classical apologetics, but I think it's because you don't want to step on someone's toes. You don't want to offend them. And you want to kind of start on equal playing field. And I get that because you want to be charitable and earn the right to have more conversations. But I think you can do that and have certainty that there is a God. And by the way, this doesn't even say it's a Christian God, Judeo-Christian, the God of the Bible. It just says God at all, some kind of God.
I mean, it could be all the Muslims living in Tennessee now. I don't know.
Yeah, a law exists. Yeah. Goodness.
Okay.
Well, if you find yourself being one of those people that wonders if God exists or not, you should come to one of our events and talk to us. Or being like the people that I think Evan's intimating, that's sort of nominal Christian, like, yeah, God exists. But if that isn't, changing your life, if it's not making you live differently than your neighbor, consider going to church, consider going to one of our events and chatting with us afterwards.
Yeah,
we would love to grab a beer with you and talk about all that kind of stuff.
And if you want to know what the graph behind Sarah on the chalkboard is a reference to, you have to watch our episode with.
Here's what I think it is: the more you come to Theology by the Pint events, then this is the happiness factor.
Yes,
okay, there you go.
That's it. That was it. That's
direct correlation.
So you start off getting less happy.
No. Well, yeah, this is when they stopped coming. See, and then they were like, "Man, I got to get back to that," and then they kept going.
Yeah, they went once, were happy, they quit going. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Lord Loren.
Well, I got to go to a baseball game.
Okay.
Ken, say it.
Where can people find you, Ken?
I'm not telling you jokers where I work.
Okay.
But you can find me at Theology by the Pint.
Yes.
I'll be handing out drinks. If you're single, you get a blue cup. If you're not single, you get a red cup.
Which is hilarious because he's our token teetotaler and he'll hand you your beer tickets.
I'm a libertarian like that.
There we
right?
go. That's libertarianism for the win. Okay. Loren, if people are curious to talk to you more, can they find you or are you going to stay hidden like him?
Hidden for now.
Okay.
But I mean,
But he does go to my church.
I do go to Oak Forest Anglican Church, so come to that church. It's a great church.
It is a great church.
That's nice.
And you can find all the information about Evan and myself and all the other leaders of Theology by the Pint and our board at theologybythepint.org. So go there.
And I'm Evan. I'm the pastor at First Lutheran. And check out the website there. Anyway, until next time, we encourage you to question freely, think deeply, and disagree as needed.
Peace.